Welcome back to the studio, Carlos Camacho, our psychologist and philosopher. And I call you ours because you belong here at Coast FM.
Great.
Every Thursday, at least.
I feel like I belong now.
You're part of the family.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, well, last week, or over the past few weeks, we've been speaking about Plato, Aristotle and Socrates.
Yes.
And today we're going to be speaking about Epicurus. And I'm wondering what the difference between Epicurus and the other philosophers is.
Well, I think for most people, the big difference is that most people probably have never heard of him. But
I hadn't.
They probably have heard of Socrates, Aristotle and Plato. Epicurus came around the same time as Aristotle, and the biggest difference, I think, was that he thought that philosophy had to be practical.
Very true.
Yeah, not only theoretical, and as much as he enjoyed reading philosophy, he said that if it's not useful for us in our daily life, philosophers are wasting words.
Very true. Why have the thought if you can't implement it?
Exactly. And he had a school called the Garden, and same as Aristotle had his school called the Lyceum, and Plato had a school as well called the Academy. The difference between those three schools in Athens at the time was that Epicurus allowed women and slaves to join.
Oh, he's different, isn't he, in his time?
Yeah. He said that philosophy was for everyone, and that is a big step in Western thought.
He thought that everyone has something to offer.
Exactly, and would benefit from philosophy.
Other people's thoughts, opinions.
That's right. Yeah.
The big sharing.
Exactly, and he had a bit of a commune happening there, and there was a bit of misunderstanding. A lot of people thought because he allowed women and all these other people, they thought there was big parties going on.
Oh, yeah, took it the wrong way.
Yeah. And even though he has been related to hedonism, which is that pleasure is all that is good, it's not so much that it is like that. It's basically misunderstood. The big thing with Epicurus thought that, yes, we need to have pleasure in order to be happy, but it's not absolutely everything. It's not the big pleasures, it's the small pleasures as well. Mm-hmm. And he had a lovely saying that he said, cheese can make bread and water, and you can turn it into a feast.
Oh, so it's really be happy with what you've got and make the most of it.
That's right. If luxury comes, fantastic.
Yes.
But if not, enjoy the little you do have.
And he's all about peace and freedom from fear, wasn't he?
Yes. The big thing about Epicurus, and I think this is going to, impress people, was that he thought, just like a guy before him called Democritus, he elaborated the theory that the atom existed in void, which is exactly what we know today.
How did he work that out?
Just by pure reasoning, he thought that there would have to come a time that whatever you cut up, you'll get to a point where you cannot cut it up, and that's called the atom, which in Greek is called undividable. And so where Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, as big as they were, they did not believe in the atom. They thought that things could be divided infinitely. So Epicurus had one on them, and he has been proven right, even in quantum physics today, that he said that atoms move in a certain manner, but every now and then there would be a random atom moving.
Well, they swerve?
They swerve, that's right. So all this by pure reasoning, an incredible mind, really, just by thinking about how the world may work. And because everything's made out of atoms and is material, so is a soul, and therefore Epicurus said you should not fear death, because when we're alive, and when we're dead, we do not feel anything, because the soul and the body disintegrates, and therefore we have no sensation, so there's nothing to fear.
Okay, because I have a friend that's very, very scared of death, so what would I say to her?
Epicurus would say you have nothing to fear, because that fear is taken away from the pleasure of today, for starters.
Right.
The second thing, the only thing you fear is that you're not going to exist, but you're not going to be in pain. And for Epicurus, that was a big thing. Pleasure was good, but the ultimate good was being painless.
That's right, because I think the most fearful thing about death that people are afraid of is the pain that they will go through as they die.
Exactly. So because Epicurus thought that the soul is also material, that nothing continues to exist, and therefore all we have is the same experience as when we didn't exist before we were born.
Yes.
So it's basically an experience of nothingness, which also some philosophers would argue that
the soul is limitless.
Yeah, that's right, and also not existing may be fearful as well. That is what's so confronting about death. So Epicurus's philosophy was quite interesting because he was solely based on pleasure, but I don't think he covered the fear of non-existing, because I think there's a certain strive of humans that we just want to be here.
Yes, we do.
We just want to be here. Even if we're not feeling pain, we are going to miss out.
Yes, that's right. So to apply his theory to our daily lives is a very important thing. The friendships, be happy with what you have. You can still want more, but be happy with what you've got because you didn't have it before.
That's exactly right, because that's providing a certain amount of pleasure. And if you're not in pain, that you're already on top of the world. Anything else you have is a little bit of the icing on the cake. And friendship for Epicurus was very important. He actually thought it was one of the most important things, so much so that we should live our lives constantly surrounded by friends. That's why he had his garden where he invited everyone in and share their stories and live within a community. He felt that was the natural and the best thing for humans.
Yes, because when we're isolated, we tend to get more depressed than when we're surrounded by people and friends.
That's right.
Even a walk outside, just saying hello.
That's right. Isn't that incredible? Yeah. And we use that today in modern psychology. You know, your social aspect is very important. And for Epicurus, it's so important to have friends, not only for the present moment, but for the future, because we create memories. And in the future, if we are in pain, in bodily pain, or we have lost something in life that may cause us distress, we can always go back to those memories, and that can provide us with present happiness.
That is beautiful. Thank you for introducing us to Epicurus.
Yeah, well,
Epicurus?
I suppose we could say it in English
Epicurus?
that way. Epicurus.
Depends how you pronounce it.
Exactly. It doesn't really matter. I mean, his philosophy has survived, luckily, because a lot of his works didn't survive, but other people wrote about him, especially a great poet called Lucretius, who was very involved in Epicurean thought, and we're very fortunate to have any of this person's thoughts with us.
Well, thank you, Carlos. Your song?
Well, because, Epicurus was a bit of a hippie and he liked walking around his garden, Daydream Believer.
Beautiful. Here on Coast FM, classic hits and more throughout your day, 29 minutes to 12.
Oh, I could hide 'neath the wings of the bluebird as she sings. The 6 o'clock alarm would never ring, but it rings and I rise, wipe the sleep out of my eyes. My shaven razor's cold and it stings. Of me as a white knight on his steed. Now you know how happy I can be. Oh, and our good time starts and ends without $1 to spend. But how much, baby, do